Okay, let's unpack this. A 300% average return on investment for clients. That's the headline grabber from StudioHawk, this company that's really laser focused on SEO.
Right.
And if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, hold on, how exactly do you measure that in SEO? It can be a bit opaque sometimes, can it?
It really can. And what's interesting here, I think, is how many agencies, they spread themselves pretty thin. They do a bit of everything. But StudioHawk, they've planted their flag, like, firmly in the SEO camp.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if that intense focus, that specialization, is maybe the secret sauce behind that big number.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're diving deep into today. We've been digging through the research on StudioHawk, this specialized SEO agency. They've got offices like globally now.
Mm.
And for you, the listener, maybe you're someone who wants to get up to speed quickly, get the real insights without drowning in jargon. Well, consider this your fast track. We want to understand how a company like this claims these kinds of results in such a crowded field.
And if you look at the bigger picture, maybe there's a trend here. In this increasingly complex digital world, could it be that specialization, really going deep on one thing, is actually the key to getting, well, exceptional results?
That's the core question, isn't it? So our mission today, let's pull out the crucial insights. How does StudioHawk approach global SEO? What really sets them apart? And, what lessons can we learn from them about where specialized digital marketing might be heading?
Okay.
So that 300% ROI, it's a bold claim.
Right.
Where does the StudioHawk story really begin? How did they get here?
Well, it seems to start with this really deep, almost unwavering commitment to being SEO only. It was founded back in 2015 by Harry Sanders. They started in Australia, but now they've got this global presence, Melbourne, Sydney, London, and Atlanta too.
Wow, okay.
But the core identity from everything we've seen is just SEO. That's it.
That hyper-focused strategy they mentioned. So instead of trying to do social media, paid ads, email marketing, all of that, they just double down on search. What's the thinking there?
The core belief, it seems, is that by pouring all their resources, their people, their R&D, their energy purely into SEO, they can hit a level of mastery, a depth of knowledge that a generalist agency just, well, can't match. It's like, think of a general doctor versus a heart surgeon. If you've got a complex heart issue, you probably want the specialist, right?
Absolutely.
They're aiming for those really significant, measurable improvements in how visible their clients are in organic search.
And they've really built their whole brand around this, haven't they? That SEO only promise, giving clients direct access to the specialists, and a big emphasis on doing things ethically, white hat SEO.
Exactly. That SEO only thing, it's not just, a tagline. It feels like a fundamental strategic choice. It shapes everything. And they argue this focus gives them a higher perceived value.
Right.
If you're, say, struggling to get found on Google, maybe your first thought isn't a general agency. Maybe it's who really knows SEO inside out.
Makes total sense. Like if your car's making a weird engine noise, you probably want an engine specialist, not just the place that does oil changes and washes.
Precisely. And there's also that idea that by staying specialized, they avoid sort of diluting their expertise.
Yeah.
They're not spreading their best people too thin across too many different things.
So it raises that question for anyone looking for SEO help. Are you better off with a team that purely lives and breathes this stuff? Or a bigger shop where SEO is just one department among many? StudioHawk is clearly betting on depth over breadth.
And their credentials seem to back that up. They're Google partner specialists. They're on the board of the Australian Web Industry Association.
Yeah.
Those aren't just handed out. They signal real expertise.
No, definitely not. Those signal genuine industry standing, and that 300% ROI claim, plus the fact they've apparently run over 300 campaigns without getting cannibalized by Google, that really points to doing SEO the right way for the long haul.
Yeah, sustainable results.
Okay, so beyond this SEO-only core, what else is fundamental to how StudioHawk operates?
Well, another really significant thread seems to be the personal story of the founder, Harry Sanders. His background, his early life, it seems deeply woven into the company's culture.
Ah, the origin story. Always interesting. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So, from what we understand, Sanders went through some pretty tough times early on. Apparently even experienced homelessness for a period.
Wow.
And it sounds like those experiences forged this really powerful drive in him, this resilience, a real determination. And this isn't just like a side note. It probably infuses the whole company culture at StudioHawk. Maybe it attracts people with that same get-it-done, results-focused mindset.
So that personal drive kind of becomes part of the company's DNA, shaping how they work, what they value. That's fascinating, how a founder's journey can really mold an organization's identity. maybe even attract clients who resonate with that kind of grit.
Exactly. And Sanders' own, hyper focus on SEO specialization seems to be what sparked the agency's creation in the first place. Their goal was to become the expert. And that core philosophy, no generalists here, just a damn good SEO agency. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, no ambiguity there.
And then there's that non-negotiable value, 100% white hat SEO techniques. Backed up, like you said, by that track record, 300 plus campaigns, no penalties. It really emphasizes building something solid, something sustainable for clients, not just quick wins that might blow up later.
Right, no dodgy tactics that could get you slapped by Google down the line. That makes sense for businesses looking for real long-term growth. Now, you also mentioned they emphasize transparency and how clients interact directly with the team.
Yes, this no-slough approach seems really key to how they deal with clients. They make a big point about clients talking directly to the SEO specialists, the people actually doing the work on their accounts.
So cutting out the traditional account manager layer.
Exactly. The idea is it leads to clearer communication, faster responses, more personalized attention,
I saw that quote from Anthony Barone, the MD in the UK, with his super enthusiastic, I like SEO mantra. That seems to capture that direct, maybe slightly geeky, but results-focused vibe.
It really does. The focus is squarely on getting tangible results, not getting lost in endless reports or vague promises. And that direct-to-specialist model, it's a really interesting way to build trust.
Yeah.
Because clients are talking directly to the experts, the people who know the nuts and bolts, not someone acting as a go-between. For you, the listener, if you've ever felt like things get lost in translation with account managers, this model probably sounds quite appealing.
It definitely removes a potential bottleneck, right?
Yeah.
And ensures the people who really understand the complexities are the ones explaining it or discussing strategy with the client. And that example they gave about a specialist offering free advice up front, that's a powerful way to show expertise and build some goodwill right away.
What's interesting, too, is how it sort of challenges the usual agency structure.
Yeah.
Giving clients that direct line fosters more of a partnership feel, I think, a shared understanding.
Okay, so we've got this focused SEO-only model, a founder's story fueling the culture, and this direct, transparent client engagement. But who are the actual people making it happen, delivering these results on the ground?
Right. Well, StudioHawk has built up this global team, over 100 specialists now. That includes strategists, technical SEO folks, writers, designers, even digital PR people. And we can talk about how that fits in later. Key leaders, besides Harry Sanders, include Lawrence Hitches, who's the GM in Australia, Anthony Barone, who co-founded and runs the UK side, and Sophie Brannon, who's GM and co-founder for the US expansion.
It's interesting that Anthony Barone apparently learned SEO directly from Sanders. That probably helps maintain that core philosophy, that consistency, as they've expanded geographically.
Good point. Yeah, that continuity is likely very important.
Yeah.
And Sophie Brannon's focus on building a strong, values-driven culture in the U.S., that seems critical when you're entering a new, big market and want to keep that StudioHawk DNA intact.
Absolutely. Scaling while maintaining your core identity, that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
And having leaders who are really steeped in the original principles must be crucial.
For sure. And it's not just the top leaders. The fact that you see client reviews frequently mentioning specific team members by name, people like Theo, another Sophie, Tyler, Aoif, Clea, Georgia, Anja, Justin.
Right, I saw those names pop up.
It really underlines how effective that direct engagement model seems to be right down the line. It suggests clients are forming real connections and having positive experiences with the specific people working on their accounts.
Yeah, it points to a team that's not just technically skilled, but also, invested and good at communicating. And hearing about Robert Chung winning that Emerging Talent Award specifically for having 0 client churn over 18 months and being a strong mentor. That says a lot about their focus on client satisfaction and developing their own people. That kind of retention rate in an agency setting is, it's pretty remarkable.
It really is. 0 churn over that period. It suggests they're not just getting results, they're building genuinely strong, lasting relationships too.
Okay, so looking at their services, it's mostly SEO, but they do list a few other things that maybe at first glance seem a little outside that strict SEO-only box. Let's dig into what they actually offer.
Right. And what's key here, I think, is that while SEO is absolutely the sun in their solar system, all the other services seem designed to orbit around it and support it. They integrate within the main SEO strategy. Everything they do, they emphasize, is grounded in deep SEO knowledge and understanding the client's audience.
Okay, so let's break down the core SEO stuff first.
Yeah.
Technical SEO. For someone maybe not deep in the weeds, what does that actually cover?
Think of technical SEO as like the foundations and plumbing of your website for search engines. It's making sure Google, Bing, etc., can actually crawl, understand, and index all your content properly.
Yep.
Anthony Barone in the UK, he's highlighted as a specialist here, even contributing to industry best practices on things like canonical tags, which basically tell Google which version of a page is the main one if you have duplicates. If your site's got technical problems, it's like trying to run a race with your shoelaces tied together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good your other strategies are.
Right. It's the essential behind-the-scenes stuff. Okay. What about e-commerce SEO? They mentioned working with some big Australian brands there.
Yeah, that's tailoring SEOs specifically for online stores. The goal is to drive traffic that's actually likely to buy something. So it involves optimizing product pages, category pages, managing how product info appears, ensuring the checkout process is smooth from an SEO perspective. It's quite specialized.
Yes.
Then there's local SEO, hugely important for any business with a physical presence, like a shop or a local service provider. They cite stats about how many local searches lead to actual store visits. Barone's mentioned as having expertise here too, helping businesses show up in those near-me searches we all do.
Oh, yeah. Vital for bricks and mortar. And then enterprise SEO. That sounds like dealing with huge, complex websites.
Exactly. Big companies, massive sites, often with thousands, even millions of pages.
Yeah.
That needs a whole different level of strategic thinking, managing complex site structures, dealing with huge amounts of content, maybe coordinating SEO across different departments or even countries.
All right.
Robert Chung, the award winner, is noted for his role in managing these large retainer clients.
Right.
They also list SaaS SEO, specifically helping software as a service companies grow organically, and international SEO, which is much more than just translating your site.
Oh, so.
Well, it involves understanding different search engines, like Baidu in China or Yandex in Russia, adapting to different cultural search behaviors, keyword nuances, local competition. What works in the UK might need significant tweaking for the German market, for instance.
Yeah, you can't just copy-paste your strategy globally. It makes perfect sense. What about link building? That's a classic SEO pillar.
Absolutely. And they strongly emphasize their white hat approach here. That means earning high-quality links from relevant, authoritative websites through legitimate outreach and content promotion. They talk about leveraging an established network. Crucially, no buying links, no spammy tactics, nothing that could risk a Google penalty. It's all about building genuine credibility.
Good to hear. Playing the long game. And they also offer consulting and audits. I saw something about a free content master plan offer.
Yeah, that seems like a smart lead generation tactic, right? Offer some real value up front, an initial assessment, a content plan to show potential clients what they can do and build that initial trust. And website migrations, this one's super important, but maybe less glamorous.
Why is it so critical?
Because when you redesign a website or move it to a new domain or platform, if you don't manage the transition carefully from an SEO perspective, you can lose all your rankings overnight. It can be catastrophic. So they offer services to ensure that migration happens smoothly, preserving that hard-earned SEO value.
Definitely sounds like something you don't want to mess up. Okay, now, they also list content marketing and digital PR. How do these fit under the SEO Only umbrella? Because they sound a bit broader.
This is where that integration point becomes really clear. They seem to view high-quality content as absolutely fundamental to good SEO. You need great content to rank. So their SEO content writing service isn't just about writing stuff. It's about creating content specifically designed to rank for target keywords and convert visitors.
Okay, so content with a clear SEO purpose.
Exactly. And digital PR, with specialists like Clea and Georgia mentioned, that's about earning media mentions and coverage for clients on relevant online publications. This builds brand awareness, sure, but critically for SEO, it earns those valuable authoritative backlinks we talked about. And things like ebook writing help establish expertise and can generate leads, again, supporting the overall SEO goals.
Got it. So even the content and PR are strategically focused on boosting SEO performance. But what about those other services they list briefly? UX design, web development, even PPC and general digital marketing. That does seem to push the boundaries of SEO Only, doesn't it?
It does, and that's a really important point to address. While their core message and main expertise is absolutely SEO, offering these adjacent services, well, it likely serves a practical need.
How so?
Think about it. For SEO to work effectively, the website itself needs to be well-built and user-friendly. If a client site has terrible UX or major technical flaws, the best SEO strategy in the world might struggle. So offering UX design or web development ensures those foundations are solid, allowing their SEO work to actually deliver results.
Ah, okay. So it's like ensuring the car is roadworthy before you try to tune the engine.
Exactly. And PPC, pay-per-click ads, or broader digital marketing might be offered more as complementary services. Perhaps for clients who really want everything under one roof, or where insights from PPC data can inform the SEO strategy and vice versa.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem to be their main focus, but more about pragmatically supporting the core SEO mission. They're not positioning themselves as a full-service agency, but they recognize SEO doesn't happen in a vacuum.
That makes sense. A practical approach to ensure their specialization can actually succeed. Okay, so taking all this together, the SEO only focus, the direct client model, the service mix, how does this position them competitively? What really makes them stand out?
Well, the SEO-only model itself is the biggest flag they wave. It's a clear contrast to the vast majority of agencies offering everything. Harry Sanders is quite vocal that this specialization is what breeds true expertise. Then there's that direct client specialist engagement. No account manager layer. That promise of direct access, personalized attention, faster communication. That's a pretty compelling pitch. The example of Justin doing that detailed site audit that shows how direct interaction builds trust almost immediately.
Yeah.
And you link that to Robert Chung's zero client churn. It suggests the model works in practice. Clients like it.
Yeah, that retention rate is powerful proof. And we have to come back to that 300% average ROI claim alongside the commitment to white hat penalty-free work.
Exactly. It's a combination of promising big, tangible results, but doing it the right way, sustainably, ethically. That really appeals to businesses looking for stable, long-term growth, not just risky quick fixes. And their goal of demystifying SEO, making it less of a black box,
Yeah.
that transparency builds trust too.
Okay, so they've carved out this focused niche, this direct way of working, this ethical commitment. How is that translated into actual growth? They've expanded internationally, you mentioned.
They have indeed. Started in Melbourne and Sydney around 2015, then expanded to London, and most recently Atlanta in the U.S. That U.S. office is their third international spot, so it signals a pretty clear ambition for growth.
Why go global? Was it just about finding bigger ponds to fish in?
Pretty much. Harry Sanders has said himself that the Australian market, while obviously important to them, just isn't as large as the UK or especially the US.
Right.
The move into the UK seemed driven by a mix of market opportunity and maybe favorable conditions. The US, though, that's often seen as the biggest prize in the SEO world. So it looks like a very calculated strategic move towards becoming a major global player in their niche.
It doesn't sound random, though. That phase approach Australia first, then the UK as maybe a stepping stone, then tackling the huge US market, that suggests careful planning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels considered. And bringing in key leaders like Anthony Barone in the UK, who, remember, learned the ropes directly from Sanders and Sophie Brannon in the US, tasked with embedding that culture. It's all about trying to scale without losing what made them successful in the first place. Consistency is key.
That US expansion, it feels like a real test, doesn't it? Taking that SEO-only model into such a mature, competitive market. If they can replicate their success there, sticking to that specialization, well, that would be a huge validation of their whole approach.
Oh, absolutely. Success in the U.S. wouldn't just be about revenue. It would send a strong signal about the power of specialization in the digital marketing world.
Yeah.
It could genuinely influence how other agencies think about strategy.
So it all sounds very positive, very strategic. But what's the actual proof? We've touched on some client stuff, but have they gotten wider industry recognition? Does the evidence stack up?
Yeah, and this is where it gets pretty compelling.
Yeah.
They've picked up some significant awards, winning Best Large Agency of the Year at the Global Agency Awards just this year, 2025. That's huge.
Wow.
And the judges apparently called out their values, their growth story, how they tell that story. Plus, Robert Chung winning the Emerging Talent Award there, highlighting his zero client churn and mentorship that shows depth in the team, too.
That's impressive. And it wasn't just a one-off, right? You mentioned other awards, too.
Exactly. They've had multiple wins at the APAC Search Awards, the SEMrush Search Awards over the last few years, 2022, 2023, 2024. It shows consistency. It's not just a flash in the pan. They've also got recognition from the Global Search Awards and Global Digital Excellence Awards.
So consistent high performance recognized by peers.
Right. And they tie this success back to four main principles they operate by: being client-centered, focusing on innovation and best practices, being consistent, and fostering that strong internal culture focused purely on SEO.
Okay, and what about the client results themselves? Any specific examples that really stand out?
They did share a couple of case studies. Damson Matter, a fashion brand, apparently saw a massive 558% increase in clicks to their product pages. That allowed them to compete effectively against much bigger retailers, which is exactly what good SEO should do.
Yeah, leveling the playing field.
And the Entourage, a business education provider, saw big jumps in leads, organic traffic, and the number of pages ranking well. But beyond specific case studies, it's the pattern in the testimonials.
What do you mean?
You see the same themes repeated over and over. Clients praising the tangible results, more traffic, better rankings, business growth, but also highlighting the process, the transparency, the team's deep knowledge, the professionalism, and crucially, that direct communication. Those names we mentioned, Theo, Sophie, Tyler, Aoif, Clea, Georgia, Anja, Justin, they get called out personally for their great work and communication.
That personal connection again.
Exactly. And you see mentions of really long-term relationships too.
Yeah.
Like A.O. Flynn, one client relationship mentioned spanned nearly a decade. That kind of loyalty in the agency world, it speaks volumes about satisfaction and trust. It suggests they're building real partnerships, not just transactional service delivery.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. Okay, so let's try and boil this down. After digging into StudioHawk, what are the main takeaways, the key insights here?
I think the biggest one, really, is the potential power of specialization. In a complex field like SEO, going deep rather than broad seems to have allowed StudioHawk to build genuine expertise that delivers measurable results. That's number one.
Specialization.
Number two is the value of that direct client-expert relationship model. Cutting out intermediaries seems to foster transparency, collaboration, trust, and ultimately better alignment and outcomes.
Right. Direct access.
Third, the unwavering commitment to ethical white hat SEO. It's about building sustainable long-term growth, not chasing risky shortcuts. That builds trust and delivers lasting value.
Ethical approach. Got it.
And finally, the proof really is in the pudding. The consistent industry awards, the positive client testimonials, those impressive retention rates, the specific success stories, it all provides pretty compelling evidence that their focused approach genuinely works.
So, thinking about all this, what's the final thought for you, the listener? Considering StudioHawk's success built on this intense focus, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In this world that feels increasingly complex, maybe spreading ourselves thin isn't always the best strategy. Does deep specialization, really mastering one thing, offer a more reliable path to achieving truly exceptional results? Not just in marketing, but maybe in whatever field you're working in or passionate about. What could you potentially gain by narrowing your focus, by going deep? Something to think about.